his chances. Oh, brilliant goal! A brilliant goal! Remember the name, Wayne Rooney.
Pirlo, ancora Pirlo di tacco, tiro,
Andrea Pirlo will take, and it's volleyed, and it's in. A goal in 50 seconds from Milan. Oh, would you believe it? Paolo Maldini, the skipper, has scored it. Balotelli, Aguero! I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Footy Fans Podcast, episode 10. Andrew, Santo, and Joe, as always, talking to you now on Halloween Sunday night. Boys,
Spooky
spooky
episode
theme
coming up.
Yeah, spooky theme podcast tonight. First off, boys, how was your Halloween?
It was, I guess, another COVID Halloween.
Yeah,
but it was good. I mean, got to see some people that I didn't get to see last year. Had a little bit of a two Halloween parties with Rocco turning 1. So we had a little family get together and then got to see some friends as well. So it was good. Yep.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santo's Halloween costumes were better than mine at both occasions. I will say.
Oh, you had to let people know. What were they?
I was Guy from Free Guy, a.k.a. Blue Shirt Guy.
Which is like a pretty minimalist costume, which is pretty awesome.
But it was so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, because it was, we watched it on Friday, and I was like, all right, that's what I'm going to be for a Halloween party. So I already had most of the attire, just had to make the little Guy name tag, and that was it. And I was Guy.
Yep. Soccer player and 70s workout person.
All in one.
Yeah.
With a
just
massive yellow head.
Yeah,
headband.
massive engineering yellow headband.
Those are classic costumes, though. Like, I love the ones that you can just like pull off from home. Like, you just have stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's so convenient. Like, I think my time of like buying costumes is so gone now.
Yeah, you just make something up at your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like, I remember, like, I think like 3 or 4 times I was like a homeless person. And I just like wore like shitty pants and like a coat and like painted a beard or something.
Yeah.
I was like homeless.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I was probably with you guys at least once.
I think so. I was like, what are you, homeless person? Okay.
One of the times. Before I can grow a beard, so I used to get the like the wine bottle cork
Oh, yeah.
and like you burn it and then you smudge it on your face and it gives you like the 5 o'clock shadow. Now I can just grow a beard.
Okay.
But when I was like
Yeah.
14, I couldn't.
Yeah. Had to
know.
make something work, right?
Yeah, I had more hair other places but on my face at that point. So,
And you were the handsome prince, right?
and then this year, yeah, we did a whole mermaid theme. So I got lucky and got the handsome Prince Eric. Kelly dressed up as Ursula and had purple face, and I don't know if we can say purple face, but she was purple face.
You should have been Ursula. That would have been great.
I don't know. Or like reverse the roles, right? Just
Yeah,
change
yeah.
everything around. I thought about that too. You know, they have couples costumes,
Yeah.
like the stereotypical one, like the beefy guy, then like the girl that's like all slutty and whatever. So
Mhm.
just reverse that.
Yeah.
Just have like
And
me
you-
in like a sexy nurse costume.
Yeah. Then Kel can just be like, wear like a jacked cover thing.
Yeah, she was like a lumberjack or something. And
Yeah.
I'll just be like some little slutty cop. Like I'll wear some like booty shorts and shit.
Next year.
Well, with the kids, it's kind of hard.
What are you?
Mom and Dad, what are you doing? Where are those handcuffs from? Shut the hell up. Stop asking those questions.
Yeah. Too much information.
So we're gonna have some fun tonight. We have a draft at the end of the show that we're gonna do. It's gonna be spookiest team to play against.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go down the line of goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and attacking forward, and just pick who we think, you know, either scares the hell out of you based on their size and stature, or scares you based on their performance, and who you would not want to face.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that later. But to dive right into it, the big game we kind of previewed last week was going to be Manchester United and Tottenham. Big implications, obviously, with the table, but I think our biggest one was Solskjær's career and how he was going to how he's going to perform, or how the team is going to perform and like bounce back for him. And with his job potentially on the line, I think the team also was aware of that, and they kind of rallied together, and they put on just a huge performance against Tottenham. Like, I don't think Spurs really even had much of a chance.
No. I mean, I was kind of wondering during the game whether it was like Man U playing really good and Tottenham just being really bad on that day. Usually in the situations, it's always, it's, combination of both. But yeah, Man U looked really good. I really hope Solskjær just sticks with Ronaldo and Cavani playing together, because that really worked. I mean, with all that experience they got, can't really go wrong. And then you can bring on players like Rashford. Hopefully Sancho comes on more. But he can come on for them in like the 60th, 70th minute, right?
Yeah, like, I don't get, like, they put a stat on the board on the TV of saying like their combined age is like 70 years old or something, which is kind of funny.
Just a couple of old guys.
Yeah, but I mean, like, old guys can hang. I was talking to my dad about it, and I was saying how a player like Cavani could just slide into any team and just be really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think his time at United has been stricken by injury a little bit, so he hasn't had like the full force of like what he can do and like what he can show. But you just put a person with that experience into the fold, and they'll perform. Like, yeah, you'll lack some pace a little bit. Yeah, your shot might not be as powerful or whatever, but the knowledge of just knowing where to be on the field, and like the run that he made to score the last goal.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, that's just instinct.
Yeah.
Like, you can't teach that, right? That's just from how you've played for like 30 years, however old, 35, however old Cavani is.
And a Chip Lloris a little bit there. Like,
I mean, it's just classy. And yeah, it was only his second start of the season. And I think putting Cavani in that striker role gives Ronaldo more freedom on the wing, because even when he was playing as a striker, he wasn't really like a last man striker. He was kind of more like a false nine, like roam the field like we kind of always see. But if you can actually play him with the striker, look how Ronaldo performed in Real Madrid with Benzema, and when he was at United with Rooney. Yeah, like two guys that are just class, typical A strikers.
Yeah,
and
work off each other.
Yeah, exactly. Work off each other, and I say it gives them more room, because you got way more room on the wing and more space.
Yeah,
and you can kind of like, even if you do like screw up or something, you have a whole team behind you if you turn the ball over. And so you can kind of have more freedom. And I mean, they both score. And like that hasn't happened, and I don't even know if it's happened yet. Like like they both scored the goals, and I don't know. It's I just think it's crazy like that he hasn't got more playing time. Yes, they have like a youth movement with United too, but if you just need someone to put the ball in the back of the net, who better than Cavani?
Yeah, besides Ronaldo, who's also playing right up against him, right? Or right with him. So yeah. No, I was actually super impressed with Cavani as well. I do think what you said is a combination of both, and we'll get into Nuno later, but I'm not sure what Tottenham is at the moment, if that makes sense. They don't really have an identity.
Right, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And some of the commentators were talking about this, with the Wolves, they were just kind of set on their playing style. And I was under the impression with Nuno coming in to the start of the season, he came from Wolves, did really well. He has these class players now at Tottenham. I thought Tottenham was going to be one of the dark horses of this title race. Yeah. But, maybe that's kind of naive. New manager coming in, you have to get used to the playing style. So, maybe, they'll let this season go. They probably won't qualify for Champions League. But, maybe they'll give them another year and see where that goes. But like you said, I think it's just a combination of Tottenham being really poor, and obviously this Kane situation is not helping, because he's almost a liability on the field at this point. Sloppy turnovers, not really, being that strike you need when he gets the ball, like creating chances out of nothing. Yeah. So it was kind of the perfect storm after the Liverpool game. A big game against Tottenham, quote unquote, but they've just been not themselves lately. So I am surprised Man U did that much work on them, but looking at what Tottenham's been doing, maybe not too surprised by Man United's win, even though they just got crushed by Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like you said, where it's this up and down thing with Man U. Yeah, I even said they're like, they got crushed by Liverpool. They might win against Tottenham. They're going to lose against Manchester City, but who knows with City?
It's so unpredictable.
So we'll have to see. It's just this. It's with Man U. Yeah, it's up and down, but it's just the most extreme up and downs. Like crushed Liverpool, beat Tottenham this massive game. We'll see what happens against City. could be a draw.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the way that City's been playing, has played last game too.
Yeah. That's a one-off. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. We'll talk later.
We'll talk about what happens when Crystal Palace goes to Manchester for whatever reason.
But yeah, I think Man U just needs to have a run of even if they lose or draw, they just need a run of 5 or 6 games where they're just playing well in those games. Like you lose 2-1 to Liverpool away, you lose by 1 to Man City away, and you play well. Like it's not the result you wanted, but at least you're playing well, like game in and game out. If you're playing really poor and then you play well, and it's not good for the fans, not good for the club.
Well, they kind of had a consistent start at the beginning of the season, like of just like rattling off wins, and they were sitting. I think maybe at least 1 week they were like top table, but they weren't playing anybody.
Yeah,
like I think their first big test was the Leicester game. Was it Leicester? No, who did they play?
Yeah,
whoever it was, and they got spanked.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about, where we were wanting to see Ronaldo in like some of the big games against the big clubs. Because they were winning against all,
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Sorry, they beat up on Leeds on week 1, drew Southampton, and then beat up on Newcastle. Good win against West Ham actually, and then a loss to Villa, which is they're not sitting too high right now in the standings, but they're still like a tough team to play against. Another draw against Everton, but then the Leicester City game came and they lost 4-2. And then they squeaked out that game against Atalanta. Then they got smashed by Liverpool. Like, it's just... And then, I don't know. Like, the games that when they played against, like, low sides, you can win. You can come out with, like, some squeaky wins, but, like...
Yeah, it's a big game.
You put them against a big side, and, like, you can really tell, like... They're not... Like, they're kind of like a broken team.
Yeah. I think the difference with the City game is City was still in control the whole game, even though they lost. With Man U, when they lose, it's like you just played really bad. City, you could argue they just got unlucky because during the game they controlled the whole game. They're in the box berating Crystal Palace, just a mistake from Laporte and then a red card, and then you get an offside goal. So I think that's a little bit of the difference. Even though you look at the table and what separates City from Man U, it's just 3 points. But I think the difference is when City loses, it's more, hard luck versus, I don't think City hopefully wouldn't get smashed by Liverpool like that. They didn't when they played, but
yeah, it's almost like you see any of the top 3 now like drop points with a loss, and you're like, what the hell happened in that game? I gotta find out what happened. If you see United lose, they're probably like, oh, they just played like shit.
Yeah.
But they're probably, they're just not very good this year.
Right? Yeah.
Which, coming into this year, we kind of had our doubts. Obviously, the Ronaldo transfer was like huge news. And so that kind of like put everyone back on the United bandwagon for a little bit. And so, I got to watch Man U again this year. So that got them a little bit more, not popularity, but that got them a little bit more like push for them to watch. And then now it's like, they're just not very good.
Yeah.
And talk about Tottenham the same way. They're just not very good.
Yeah. You don't know what's going to show up on the field.
And just like looking back at it, when Nuno was doing so well at Wolves, that's because he had time there to actually bring his own players there.
Yeah.
He's had 1 season at Tottenham so far.
Yeah.
Like he came in, Mourinho didn't really give them that much time before the season to get a new manager.
Yeah.
Like he left. I kind of forget when he left, but I know it wasn't like right at the end of last year. I think it was like kind of beginning of the summer transfer. So like they didn't have much time to pick a manager. It was up in the air still who was going to go there. And then Nuno just kind of slides in, and like he didn't even do much in the transfer market at all. So he's basically the same team that Mourinho lost with last year, and the same team that got Pochettino removed.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what are they going to do?
Why do we expect this team to be so good? Like, yeah, they have good players, but they just don't play well together.
Yeah. Plus, the Kane situation is not helping. He's basically operating without a real striker besides Son, and
they don't have one. They have no one to replace him.
Yeah.
Like you said, Kane's basically like a liability right now on the field. They have no one to put in.
Yeah.
It's almost like they can just play 10 men and like it'd be the same thing, to be honest. So that sounds terrible for Kane because he's like,
it's Kane.
We just talked about how I thought he's going to be Golden Boot winner this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless if he left or went to Man City or not. I thought he's just that good. And I thought Nuno would get the best out of him, but For whatever reason, he's just gone.
You can tell, and I know we talked about this before, where he said he's like, "Oh, I'm committed to Tottenham." It's like
He's
you
not
could
committed.
say, like, obviously not.
No.
You know, there's no way you're just this string of bad, like 10 games in.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that much bad luck. It's like it's not there.
Yeah, 1 goal, 1 assist in 9 matches this season for arguably, England's number 9, England's captain. Talked like the last 5 years, he's basically been the best striker in the league.
Yeah, and like, I know we're harping on Kane, but really, it's not really his fault. Who knows what went on behind closed doors? For all we know, like, he really wants to leave, and they're like, "No, you're staying, and you got to say this." And he's like, "Well, like, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
So he's just stuck in this club that he doesn't really want to be at. But just the owners at Tottenham don't want to let him go. It's like, "No, you're staying here." It's like I'm not here mentally.
Yeah,
So
he
he
could
has to
just
put on
be
a
stuck,
face.
right?
He has to put on a face and like try and play for the club, but he will likely not be here in the foreseeable future.
Which kind of sucks for Tottenham because it's like they breed pretty good players, but then
Yeah.
they just let them go. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
at their peak, they're worth the most money, but they don't keep them long enough to have team success. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Kane's like at his peak right now. Like, we're gonna keep going forward with him. It's gonna be so good, and then this happens.
Yeah.
Or like he's at his peak and they want to sell him. They're like, no, we got to keep this guy. Like, he's our core player. Like, we're gonna use him as a cornerstone of our team and like build around him.
Yeah.
And then like he turns to shit.
Yeah,
And
now
now the
that-
team's in 10th place, and now Nuno's gonna lose his job
And
potentially.
they're not going to get any money for Kane. Won't be able to bring in like
Right. Like, can you imagine what his transfer market value must have been in, August?
yeah,
Mhm.
it's probably
Like right at the end of the European Cup to make a Euro final.
yeah.
Kane's riding high. Team is riding high. He wants, this big dick transfer move to United or to City or whoever. And then now, like, this happens 3 months later.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what his transfer market value is right now, but, like, I'm sure it's gone down, like, 30% or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be crazy.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens come January. It's strange. I really don't see him at City in January. It's still like a big question mark with City with what they're going to do about the striker situation. They've still been playing their game, but it does feel like their final third and just how they used to score goals with Aguero.
Yeah.
They would just constantly create chances and pumping goals. I think you notice that a little bit now with them not having that true number 9 up there. You've seen it a few times with Ferran Torres when he plays, but it is something that's missing. But with that said, I don't really see Kane going there. Not sure what's going to happen with Haaland. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Because City will bring in someone. It'll probably be a pretty high profile person. We'll just see who it is. For whatever reason, I'm leaning that way. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing Kane in a City shirt. I'm not sure why, but, we'll see. I feel, what it might be? They might just tank this season. And then City might just get the opportunity to sign someone else like a Haaland or, whoever it might be. They might not take a chance on him. Like, if Tottenham's ask for Kane is too high, I don't think they'll actually buy him, given this season.
Right.
We'll have to see.
And yeah, I don't think it would happen in January either. Like, have a transfer like that big in January market, I think it's kind of rare.
Yeah.
Because for whatever we know, like, Tottenham might be slipping to like 15th or 12th or 13th, whoever or wherever they could be at the end of the season. So they have to try and like salvage what they can basically from this year. And like, obviously Kane in your side is probably better without Kane in your side.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, we just talk shit about him, but he's a privilege to have for Tottenham for a side like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Son though has proven the last couple seasons he's kind of like the real MVP though of the team.
Yeah.
Because like we talk about it at length, that Son like generates almost all of their attacking ability.
Yeah.
Like, everything is filtered through him like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Or maybe like Lucas Moura can kind of pick up the pieces sometimes too. But I mean, Nuno, he's a good coach. Like, he's done well at Wolverhampton and bringing them up from the Championship division into like what they are now. And they're not having the hottest of seasons, but clearly he just left last year, so that's obviously going to make a transition in that team too. But no, he's class. I mean, he's a good coach. Like, I would like to play for a guy like him. He's got a lot of passion.
Yeah.
I think he's like a player's coach.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, he just can't get the guys to, gel together. And we talked, so much last week about Solskjær having like a 1-game a trial, basically, to see if like what his job is going to be like, his job status. And now I can kind of think we can kind of say the same thing about Nuno going into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They got games against Everton and Leeds coming up. Everton game's going to be tough. Leeds got another nice win today against Norwich. So, they always battle hard. And then Burnley is another team in the following week that, they could probably scoop a win up against. But if they, don't perform well in those next 3 matches, they could be another manager on the hot seat from a top club that could be on his way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is tough. I mean, I think I said this before, where I like to see clubs kind of stay committed to the managers they hire, especially when it's your first season at a club like Tottenham. He came from Wolves.
Yeah.
It would be really harsh to just let him go in his first season with the club.
You got to give the guy a chance.
Absolutely.
Like I said, with Wolves, he obviously had success. So, like, sure, man, stay. Like, you're doing great for our team. Like, please don't ever leave.
Yeah.
But he had the ability to bring his own players in.
Yeah.
At Tottenham, I don't even know if they signed anybody this year.
They didn't sign anyone, and he's taken over like this team. Like you said, didn't sign anyone. They didn't qualify for Champions League last year. So, like, what defines success for Tottenham right now?
Well, they're in Europa League this year. They are in Europa.
Yeah,
but still
not the top 4.
No,
I mean,
and a club like that big,
yeah.
They expect to be top 4.
Do they though? Like, especially this year with Chelsea.
Well, top 5 at least, I'd say.
Chelsea, Liverpool, City. Who right now West Ham's doing well. Arsenal. If we which we harbor them, they're coming up.
Come back to Arsenal a little bit.
Those guys, man.
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea who's going to get 4th this year. But it would be kind of harsh on Nuno if Tottenham defines success, or at least the minimum for Nuno to qualify for Champions League, especially the team he took over. And like I said, especially with this Kane situation, he's kind of tied to like trying to get this team that he inherited from Mourinho.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just because like they have had such success in the last couple of seasons. Like they made a Champions League final a couple years ago. Let's not forget that.
Controversial,
yeah.
But...
I mean, it was kind of a one-off, but it's like one of the worst Champions League finals of all time. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's like I think it just has like that name recognition too. Like Tottenham years ago, I was like, they're a good team, but like they're not anything crazy. They had Gareth Bale, who like put them kind of on like next level. And before him, they had like Jermaine Defoe and Luka Modric and all those guys. And it's like they were a good team, but then Bale and then like Kane coming in, like they just heightened that team to be like, oh my god, this team's actually really good. Like Poch came in, so it's like recency bias of them being good. You still kind of want them or think that they're going to be in that top 5, top 4.
Yeah,
but then you come back to reality and it's like Bale's gone.
Yeah,
Kane's not doing well. Pochettino's gone. Like they're just dropping players and not adding assets.
Yeah.
So that it's unfortunate their slide has come as like staggering as it has. Like I thought Pochettino was going to be a lifer at Tottenham.
Yeah, same here.
That was probably the worst decision they made.
I'm still to this day I'm shocked that they let him go.
But I think that might have been mutual too, because I think like obviously he loved being there. I think his style of play fits the English game very well. Clearly, like he's been successful at Tottenham, not at attaining first place or anything in the league, but being competitive with the top 4 sides. But I think at the same time, he just maybe overstayed his welcome a little bit, and like he needed either a big move to like a top club in England, like a top club, or he had to get the hell out of there. Because like I think he was just kind of getting stagnant a little bit. Like he wasn't like able to like progress to like that very next level, like take that next step to become like premier team. Which is unfortunate because I think he had it in his ability, but maybe he saw the red flags with the team as well. Like, we're not bringing in as much talent as we should. Dan Levy's not letting us spend as much money as we should.
Yeah.
So maybe he just like, okay, I gotta get the hell out of here and go to PSG, like the biggest team in the freaking world. The most expensive team in the world.
Well, not now.
Try and win
not anymore. Not anymore. Second richest team with new ownership at Newcastle.
That's
who
absurd.
might get relegated, and then I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
They're not getting relegated. I'm telling you, they're not going to get relegated.
They're 6 points.
These guys are going to spend $1.5 billion in January.
They
I swear to
can.
God.
Can't? Aren't you not like?
I don't know.
Financial. I don't know. Like might work around it.
Yeah,
Who knows?
there's still the rules around financial fair play. Feels like big things still happen with that rule in place. Who knows what happens?
Well, because they're going to
with-
set up the owner of UEFA with an offshore bank account in like Saudi Arabia or something and just pocket him. Oh, here's 30 mil. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, and well, yeah. I mean, look at Newcastle now, sitting 19th, 4 points, yet to have a win. I mean, obviously, ownership came in a few weeks ago, so we'll see all the changes that happen in the coming weeks and in the transfer window. But you know, they got to get out of the relegation zone, otherwise they're going to be the richest team in history to ever be in the championship.
I know. That's going to be wild.
By the champion. Like,
Remember Juve got smashed with that ban
We actually talked about that today.
when they got relegated?
Yeah.
And they were like the richest B division side in like the whole
I
world.
mean, luckily they had like all their players
They
stayed. Like,
stayed.
they all stayed, and they're like, "Well, we got us out of this." And then they went back up.
like,
So,
oh
yeah.
my God. Imagine like being a fan of like some B division team that's like never made it anywhere. And like your stadium holds like 5,000 and then like Juve shows up.
Yeah.
Like they might get smashed like 8-0, but like you're like a little kid and you're watching like Del Piero and Buffon and like Nedved
Mm-hmm.
like coming to your like stadium in like your small little town because Juve got smashed.
Because
What, they got relegated? They got relegated to Serie B, and they got fined. They started with like -10 points or something.
Yeah,
to
they
their
had
team
to
name.
start like behind.
and I think they almost went undefeated. Like,
Yeah, I think they crushed it.
yeah, I think it might be like them and Fiorentina or something at the same time, or
I think
somebody
so.
else.
Milan? Was it Milan?
no, I
Inter-
think Milan just got fined.
They just got
I thought
fined.
someone else
I
got
know
shocked.
2 teams got relegated, 1 team just got fined, but they stayed up.
I feel like it might have been Fiorentina or something. I could be wrong.
But do you know like the detail? Because I learned, I guess, a little bit more about the details and the whole, like what actually happened and what the match fixing entailed.
I feel like they were paying off refs and stuff, and
But like what they were paying off refs to do. Like,
No.
so I guess this is what I heard. They would pay off refs, and first they would fix on what refs would ref what games, and then they would tell the refs when to give certain player yellow cards. So if it was like they're on 2 yellows and say they were playing Juve next, they would pay off the refs to give that player a yellow so they wouldn't play against Juve.
oh man,
Yeah.
it's like leading into the game. Like,
Yeah.
oh boy,
So then you don't, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, how much can you pay a ref to influence a game with like calls and stuff, like without it being like blatantly obvious?
Yeah.
Right. You have a ref just gives you all the calls in the game. You know, you're gonna have people watch the game and be like, all right, there's obviously something fishy going on here. But you know, the whole yellow card deal and then determining what refs ref what matches, and maybe they lean more towards Juve, but that's a whole side of football that we don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, wholeheartedly, if that's what they did, they deserve to get
Yeah,
penalized, right?
You
'Cause
definitely deserve it.
You gotta win fairly.
I know.
No need for that stuff.
I was actually just listening to a podcast recently talking all about like dictators of the world and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they had one on what's his name, Gaddafi. He was like he was like the ruler of like Libya. Like
Yeah.
he just kind of slid into like power there. Like he did some like shady stuff, and then he like ruled the country with an iron fist for like 40 years. He had a bunch of kids, and they said that one of his sons, like they were loaded money wise, like they were like
Mm-hmm.
I think they said at one point his net worth was like $200 billion or something from oil money and all this crazy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, 200 billion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so his son was like a playboy. Like he just like spent money like crazy. He had like yachts that were worth like $10 million. He bought like the biggest team in Libya for like a biggest soccer team in Libya, and he literally like paid to be a player on the team, and then
Makes
he like
sense.
became captain of the team, and he was literally paying off refs to like give him penalty shots during the game that like had no reason to be given. So he'd be like top scorer in the league. He had like 30
Yeah.
goals in the league, but he like didn't even like, he wasn't even a good soccer player.
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted to be there. And then I found out later that
sad.
he actually got signed. Oh, I can't remember who the team name was now, but he got signed by an Italian like Serie B team because like he brought money to the team. It's like he literally had like Serie B or Serie A like minutes to his like player profile, just because like he basically transferred himself to this team by just like saying, "Here, I'll give you like $20 million. Like, let me come play for you guys," and they let him play.
Amazing.
This might have been like in the 90s or something.
Oh my
so funny.
gosh! You gotta.
Like he's like literally like he was like the best player. I think he became like the captain of their national team or something for Libya for like soccer. Like clearly they weren't that good.
Yeah,
And like it was all corruption.
it's kind of funny to think about. It's like, I'll pay you guys a lot of money to play for you guys.
That's basically
Yeah, I
what
mean,
it
if
was.
you turn it into a comedy and
It's like,
something that could be funny.
I'll give you guys a lot of money. Here's like 60 mil. Can I play a little bit? on your
Oh,
team?
here it is. So yeah, I've just found him. So his name is Al Saadi Gaddafi, was the son, born 1973. So he's 48 years old now. So
Yeah.
this is early 2000s. He played for Al Ittihad Tripoli,
Yeah.
which is like I think the best team in like Tripoli's the capital
Yeah.
of Libya. So he played for them, and then he played for Perugia, Udinese, and Sampdoria.
Really?
He didn't make an appearance for Sampdoria, but he played for Perugia and Udinese for one game. Yeah, just to say like he played for the team, and then he was the national captain for 18 matches and scored 2 goals.
You know what? The only thing I have a problem with in that whole situation is him paying off refs to give him PKs. You know, if you have that disposable income, you know, I would say unfortunately, but like the reality is like soccer teams are a business. If you're a club, especially if you're a club that like needs money, and you have, I guess, this really rich young guy that's gonna come like, I'll give you $60 million for me to like play one game for your team.
You're like, yeah.
It's like,
sure. You know,
sure, man.
Sure.
Like, come on, and like, we'll give
Yeah.
you 15 minutes if we're beating a lower team 5-0, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, sure. The whole paying off the ref thing is something that's obviously not cool,
It's wild.
but the other aspects,
The other
it's a little
aspects are
funny.
pretty funny. But
Yeah, that kind of income.
I would like, if I had billions of dollars of like, I would, I actually wouldn't do that. I have too much respect for like top clubs.
oh
yeah.
yeah, it defeats.
I would not.
It
I
just
would not do
kills
that. Actually,
all-
thinking about it,
You know, it kills everything that everybody worked for to get there, right?
I would pay them to say, "Can I train? If you guys have like a staff first player match, can I play on the staff team?"
I think that would be cool. I mean, to
Yeah.
experience what it's like training with a club.
Yeah,
That
so
would be
even
really
just
cool.
being around like this grounds.
Oh yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
So I forgot this part actually. This is also in the podcast. When he joined Perugia, he employed Diego Maradona to be like his personal trainer.
That's funny.
Like it was, he employed Maradona and Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson, who failed the drug test and like won the gold medal. He employed both of those guys to be like his personal trainers and like their technical consultants while he was playing for Perugia, so he'd get better. And his appearance that he made was actually against Juve.
What was the score of that
Did
game?
it say how long did he play? How many
It
minutes?
was only he came on as a sub against Juve. It doesn't say how long. And then
87th minute.
yeah, maybe. But then like, apparently he failed the drug test, and then he was like banned from the team or something. Like it's a crazy story.
Oh my god.
Um,
How old was he when all this was happening?
he would have been like 27, almost like 30.
Drug test.
His
You failed the drug test.
Perugia appearance, he was 30 years old.
This has to like become a movie.
That's wild.
Like,
man.
how is this? Whoever wants to
Whoever
make an interesting soccer movie.
makes decisions on movies made,
Seriously.
make this one.
I mean, there's a lot more background to it. Like the guy's a dictator, and like his son was like just
Yeah.
partying it up and everything. But
Yeah,
funny.
That is not cool.
yeah.
Back to the show.
Borat could play him.
Yeah, he probably could. He probably could.
Sacha Baron Cohen, where you at?
That's hilarious. So the next, the next game I talk about is probably the Man City game. The Chelsea game was going on at the same time as this, so I didn't end up watching it, but I saw the highlights.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they lost 2-0.
Yeah. I wish we could take that clip that we talked about, I think, last week.
Yeah,
about
Joe,
City.
man.
It's like clockwork. I even
Joe-
saw a post.
Joe Stradamus over here.
I even saw a post. Well, I got Tottenham wrong this year.
Yeah, you did.
I saw a post where it's like every time Crystal Palace goes to Manchester, it showed the Barcelona, like the old Barcelona team, like Puyol and stuff like that. And it's like it's so true
Yeah.
every time, and it's not even Crystal Palace at home.
Crystal Palace away.
In Manchester
With different
specifically.
managers, too, like almost
Yeah.
every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's just one of those things.
I think a lot of it has to do with Zaha. I don't know what, but City just has the hardest time dealing with him. I mean, it was really strange too. His first goal he scored, it was a massive mistake by Laporte. They go on the counter, but he took the shot and somehow like Ederson didn't get to it. Yeah, it just went underneath Ederson's hand. I don't even know what happened. But and then Laporte with the red card. I mean, Zaha just turned him. Could have been. I think it was a little. I don't want to say harsh because maybe it was a red, but I mean, Cancelo, I think probably could have caught him.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, it feels like the stars just align with Crystal Palace, and they just beat City time and time again.
Yeah, just on the goal, like it was like he placed it to the corner, but like it did not have any pace on it. It seemed like. So I was kind of surprised it went in too. I was watching the highlights and I'm like, that's the goal that he scored. Like, because you'd think a goal against Man City, like it's got to be good. Right? It's got to be like you got to get past the defense somehow. That was a gift that happened.
Yeah,
but then you got to solve Ederson, arguably the best keeper in the league, and like for that one to go in, I was like, ooh, what's going on there?
Yep.
And then like you said, the red card in the 47th minute. It was like obviously it doesn't look good. But I think it happened so far up the field still. Like if this was like last man, like at the 18 or something, and like he was clear on, and like like obviously like you think like a last man, someone's on a breakaway and they get taken down or something, but like it was just like a tussle after a header.
Yeah, and Zaha had him too.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't like Zaha broke away.
Yeah,
and like Laporte pulled him back or something from like clear strides that he was making. Like it wasn't that clear cut. So, I mean, it is kind of iffy, and, like, I don't know if Laporte maybe already had at least one foul, like, earlier in the game or something. Like, even if he did get a second yellow, or even get a yellow, it might kind of affect him later on. I don't know. But, yeah, you never want to see it, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd say it was a bit harsh.
Yeah, and I find it tough where it's so borderline. And they both had each other. It was a tussle. It was so high up the field. Like, why ruin a game with a red card over that? He's so high up the field. Cancelo is, like, there. He's going to catch Zaha before he gets to the 18, probably.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at least catch him enough to apply more pressure. Like, and that's one of the rules, right? It's clear-cut goal scoring opportunity. I mean, that far up the field, Cancelo, he's not that close, but just the way the foul happened.
Yeah, I mean, turned him, and Zaha has Laporte's shirt.
It's
Laporte
tough.
has
it's
him.
A very, to give a red card in a game like at the 47th minute. I think it's kind of like you said, it ruined the game a bit.
Yeah.
Not clear enough for me, I would say. I mean, because there's some situations like that where it's definitely a red card. You can tell night and day. But, I don't know. Giving a red card, you want to be sure, because it really, even with City, like as good as they are, when they go down 10 men, it's very, very tough.
Oh yeah, and like a team like Crystal Palace, they're all attack.
Yeah,
like they don't really take pride on their defensive prowess. Like it's like they attack and try and score. And with Zaha playing and Odsonne-Edouard playing together. Only for the third time this year, I think that posed a big threat to City against City, because playing Benteke as that striker alongside Zaha, it's a different dynamic. Benteke is like more of like an actual number 10, like big body, like kind of like a Kane style of play. But Odsonne-Edouard, he's just kind of like a free flowing striker, almost kind of similar to how Zaha plays. And I think having two players that dynamic on your team really pose a threat. And obviously going down to 10 men and it being your center back, that's huge, obviously.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anybody's going to try and change the strategy and make the team play better, Pep's going to be that guy. But for whatever reason, they just couldn't penetrate going forward, and they kept the game just to 1-0 up until the 88th minute there. Until, I mean, it was kind of just eventually going to happen almost like like that. You always see that, right? Like a counterattack, like you're pressing basically all 10 guys up the field to try and score. Like it's going to happen. You're going to get exposed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, credit to City. I mean, they were down. They still brought it to Crystal Palace. they got a goal, got ruled for offside by like the smallest of margins.
Yeah, it was tight.
Yeah, and it's still really good. And then they couldn't penetrate. They had to leave themselves exposed at the back. And like you said, once there were time and time again, especially after they brought on Mahrez and Sterling, they were leaving themselves exposed at the back. But I think they had to, because whether you lose 1-0 or 2-0, you need to take that chance to try and get something from the game.
Yeah.
So they were hounding Crystal Palace, and then Crystal Palace got one at the end.
Yeah, a loss is a loss. Like, you better just go out swinging.
Yeah.
Like, get 3 scored against you. Who cares? You're still going to lose the game.
Yeah.
But at least give yourself a fighting chance. And I think he might have... When did he bring on Sterling and Mahrez? Do you remember?
I want to say there was still a good amount of time left in the game, which is what I like about the way Pep usually does things. He doesn't wait till like the
Very
85th
minute.
Give
to bring
a
on a
right
striker to get a goal.
give a new striker like no time to score.
78th minute. Looks
Yeah.
like.
78, he brought them both on at the same time.
So he took off Grealish and Cancelo, put on Mahrez and Sterling.
78, that's kind of late, though, too.
Well, I mean, really,
Who-
they had 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes plus to make an impact on the game.
I guess.
I
just like to get... If I was a player, I'd like to get brought on, like, early 70 or, like, late 60.
Well, I think there's two ways you can look at it. Obviously,
Get your feet wet a little bit.
yeah, you want to give them enough time, but you also want enough time to lapse in the game where you're going against tired defenders.
Right. Yeah.
So, maybe around 70, 75th minute is ideal. Maybe there was some influence when he brought on Schlupp for Edward. Wanted to see how that would impact the game, and then decide if you still want to bring on Mahrez and Sterling. So who knows? I mean, who am I to question what Pep does with his substitutions? But yeah, they just couldn't break him down, left themselves exposed, and Conor Gallagher with a banger off the post that Ederson had no chance.
No chance. Yeah, he was stunned.
Yeah.
The big one next week, and United, Man City.
Mm-hmm. The
Play
derby.
At Old Trafford, I believe. Yeah, at Old Trafford. So yeah, I think now it's weird. Like, it's only been one game, but I think Solskjaer's at a point where he's safe no matter what happens in this match.
I agree.
Unless they get crushed again.
I mean, yeah, but like, it depends how you get crushed. It really does. Like what's crushed to you? Like 5-0? Like
Yeah, if
Liverpool?
they have another Liverpool scenario,
Okay.
then it'll be like, I don't know.
Like Liverpool is
it.
like a dismembering. Like they got
Yeah.
just at every aspect of the game. But I'm saying if they lose this game like 4-2 or something,
Yeah.
or like 3-1,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Okay.
Kind of whatever.
like it's kind of just like, okay, like they're a really good team. Like we just lost, like probably
Mm-hmm.
could be eventual champions of the league. So maybe give Solskjaer a pass on that one. But I think if the game this weekend would have gone differently against Tottenham, like no matter what the result would have been, if it wasn't going to be a win against City, I think Solskjaer would have been gone. So I think he bought himself some time, or the team may have helped him buy him some time.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that safety net for him there. Who else does Man United have coming up? They have Champions League against Atalanta midweek, actually. And then the City game.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Little tough. Gonna play.
Yeah, very, very, very tough.
It's really going to affect United because City is probably, United are pretty deep, but I think City is deeper with more quality.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So,
You're bringing Mahrez and Sterling off the bench
mm-hmm.
to come on. Like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like, I know they got, like, Sancho or something on the bench for United and Rashford too, but, like,
Mm-hmm.
Mahrez and Sterling are proven winners.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing we talked about last week too. Other than, like, Ronaldo and, I guess, Cavani with PSG and maybe De Gea, there's no other, like, winners on that team
Mm-hmm.
of leagues or, like, league titles.
Yeah.
So I think that team still has to grow, even though they're youth players like Rashford that we think, and like players like Lingard and even like Maguire now is obviously older. We think these guys are like have been there forever and like they've won things and like we just expect them to be winners. But when you earn a title, you get that extra little like
Mm-hmm.
grit into your side. Like
Yeah.
it's like they say it all the time, like in hockey or something. It's like you can be really, really good on paper, but like if you don't know how to make it all 4 rounds of the Stanley Cup final and like win,
Mm-hmm.
then like you don't have that in your team. Like you don't
Yeah.
have that in you.
Yeah.
So I think players like United, they have to really, maybe they have to get down and, you know, have some poor results just to know what it feels like and then learn from that experience and then pick themselves back up.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been floating like top 5 for a while.
Yeah.
They haven't gone to like that upper echelon yet of like showing how they can win. So maybe they got to get down. They got to get a new manager again, maybe, and hopefully that can like teach them to grow a little bit more and like learn from their mistakes and learn from their downfalls, and that can make them a better side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. They need that in their team because I wholeheartedly agree. If you don't have players that have gone the distance, so to say, or so to speak, I mean, it's really tough because you don't have really that grit, like you said, that you need.
Well, you need the players, but I think it's more important to just have a manager that's won a title.
Right. That obviously helps.
Yes, you know what I mean?
Very much helps.
Even, when City, before they won a title, they brought in Mancini, proven in Serie A. Liverpool brought in Klopp, Chelsea with Tuchel, like the top quality managers. Like it's going to be very tough to win a league with a manager that hasn't won a major title. Players that have won a major title outside Ronaldo, very tough to rally that group because, like you said, it's a different thing.
Yeah,
to win a title.
Belief's not there either, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. And like you mentioned Jurgen Klopp and how like he's obviously proven success in both leagues now in the Bundesliga and here in Premier League. But for this game now here against Brighton, couldn't solve them.
Yeah,
Stalemate.
it's just Brighton.
Stalemate,
it
man.
is. Just, the Brighton have slipped a little bit, if you want to call it a slip. But
I mean, they played
7th.
some tough games.
Yeah, they had City last week as well, I think.
Yeah, City, Liverpool. Still though, they got a point from Liverpool, and they're sitting 7th. Only 1 point outside of 5th, behind Man U. So tough to accept dropping points, obviously, but I would say definitely disappointing for Liverpool. Especially with them scoring that early, and they can close with the win.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's like, is scoring too early a bad thing? Sometimes you think?
Oh, it was definitely bad for England in the Euro
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I think it's bad if you let it change how you play, or if it like puts complacency into your style when you don't keep pressing. Like I've never really seen that with City in particular. When they score, like I think Pep berates his players so much that it never sets in. I know Klopp does as well. But in the Euros with what's his face there, their manager
Southgate.
Yeah, I think they stopped pressing. 2, like they just changed their style of play, which is not what you want to do. You want to keep
wild.
Yeah.
Like, why you have a style of play, it's working. I don't understand, especially scoring that early, why you change how you're playing and you're gonna sit out a game against Italy
For
80, 85
for their
minutes.
literally
in the
90 minutes.
final.
Yeah.
Like they didn't change their style in any game leading up to that game. I don't think either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like even like when they score, they just try and get more. Okay, when's the next one coming? Who's gonna get on the score sheet now? You haven't scored yet? Okay, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
But against Italy, they just sat back, so that was kind of wild to see.
Yeah.
Mourinho is famous for that. Mourinho,
Yeah.
you get a goal like in the 10th minute. All right, park the bus.
Yeah.
We're gonna win this game 1-0. It's like no, like you'd probably get mad if like Hazard went on a breakaway and scored.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing, man? I said 1-0, not 2. 1-0.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then obviously they suffered a setback with Naby Keita getting subbed off.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully his injury is not too bad.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty crucial to their team. Like they have players like Fabinho that can kind of get in there as well.
Yeah.
But having Naby Keita is like real sick for them.
Yeah, he's been performing really well, and hopefully his injury isn't too much of an issue. But Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on for him and sets up Mane with a diving header.
That was a sweet goal.
Yeah,
That was really nice.
that was nice.
And like even at that point too, okay, I think it's 2-0 halfway through the first half, And
Yeah.
if there's any side that you would say, okay, I'm going to put money on these guys to come out winners, it's going to be Liverpool. But it just goes to show like what a late goal in the first half can do for your team going into halftime. I never heard of this guy before. Enoch Mwepu.
Yep.
I found this stat kind of crazy. So this is what I was looking up last night when I was having a few drinks. I was like, I'm like, I gotta find who this guy is.
Find out who Enoch is.
I went down like a rabbit hole of Zambian soccer players. So I found out he's the only second Zambian-born player to score in the Premier League.
Oh.
And he would have been first if not for Patson Daka, who scored last week for Leicester. That was kind of funny. He scored in the game against United 2 weeks ago. Sorry.
Yeah.
In match week 8. So
Zambia making a little
making some moves in this, for the country of Zambia.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Good for him.
So yeah, so that goal's in the 41st. So I mean, whatever was said at halftime, it got the goals motivated to come out in the second half. And Trossard is another guy who's kind of been there for a little bit now. Like, I think the way that he plays and like his style, he kind of like wants a big move to a big club. Like, you know, like every team's kind of got that kind of guy.
Yeah, like Leeds with.
I knew Joe was gonna bring this up.
I talked about this like a month ago. I'm gonna say it again this week. Rafinha on Leeds.
Yeah,
he's gonna get picked up. You know, you can just tell there's every team, like you said, has that one player. I think Trossard and Rafinha are those. If they keep it up, you know.
But I feel like sometimes it's like they try too hard to be that player at the same time.
Well, and that's what's interesting about Rafinha, because typically that player would be a lot more selfish than Rafinha is. But I think what makes Rafinha good is he reminds me of Mahrez a bit, but he actually moves the ball quicker than how Mahrez would on Leicester sometimes, which makes him just really, really dangerous. So, you know, I think he's going to get picked up next year, you know, especially if Leeds get relegated, you know, someone's going to pick him up.
Oh, yeah. If relegation,
you know, even if it's not like a Chelsea or Liverpool or City, like, you know, an Everton or, you know, maybe even an Arsenal could pick him up.
I think he scored again today.
Yeah.
He did.
Rafinha.
Did.
Yeah. Really nice goal,
he did.
actually.
Yeah.
Another player just is Miguel Almiron from Newcastle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's another guy. He's 27 years old, but he plays like he's like 21. Like, he wants to get picked up so bad, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, you know, you try and be a little bit too flashy. Like, you kind of get pissed at your players sometimes for like not giving the ball, and like you show like I'm better than this club. Like, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I feel like Trossard's kind of like that. Maybe Rafinha too. But I mean, Trossard did his best to show why he wants to be somewhere else. Tie the game 65th minute, and I think. I mean, like, not having Naby Keita is like one thing, but then to put a player like Chamberlain in for him, who's like a different style of player,
Yeah.
it kind of showed like Liverpool to be maybe exposed a little bit in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the goal that Trossard got was like a pass right through the middle. It was a nice ball,
Yeah.
but he got sent in, and I'm like, I feel like if Keita was there, a little bit more pressure would have been on. I forget who the guy was, whoever passed the ball there, throw the needle to Trossard. I think if Keita was there, you know, I would have. Maybe made it a little bit more difficult, but yeah, man, Brighton.
That's the one worry with Liverpool is they're not very deep. I would say not as deep as Chelsea, or definitely not as deep as City either. City could put out, you know, a pretty solid lineup with like 2 players in each position. I don't think Liverpool has that right now. You know, so that's the worry. Like what happened last year, Van Dijk got injured, and it was like, we're done for the season.
Yeah.
You know, no chance.
Everyone dropped for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brighton, man, they'll just to say one more thing about them, they play like tight games no matter what. Like, if they're winning or losing, it's like a tight game.
Yeah.
Like, I think the last they had that loss to City. It was 4-1. But other than that, like, even the games that they lose, it's like 1-0.
Yeah.
Or like, they'll draw, you know, 0-0, or they'll win 2-0 or something like that. So like, they don't give up a lot of goals, but they don't score too much either. But they're kind of just like across the board. Look at their goal differential. It's actually 0. So
Yeah.
they just play you tight. Maybe they don't convert all their chances. If they had like, you know, a pure striker that can just get them like 15 to 20 goals a season, they could be another team maybe that plays, but that performs better than they actually might be. Just because if they have like a good system from their manager there too, like playing defensively and how structured they can play. If they can just get a guy to score, like, I mean, everybody would love that, but if they can get a guy to score for them, Yeah, I know they could just maybe stay in the top 10.
Yeah, they've been looking really good, and they got next fixture against Newcastle.
It's a gettable game.
Absolutely. I mean, Newcastle, like we said, they're still struggling. New ownership, obviously not in a situation where they can make a big impact on the team yet. So I think it'd be one you'd expect Brighton to win.
Yeah, and I mean, the game against Chelsea this week, they just didn't perform. Like, they didn't even show up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that might be back-to-back at St. James Park. I think their last game might have been at home, too. So they're not displaying too much for the new ownership.
No, that was a tough one for them. And, it's obviously really tough when Chelsea played that well. I mean, Chelsea were on their game. I think a lot of it has to do with Newcastle's situation right now.
Right.
But without Lukaku, without Werner,
Mm-hmm.
still looked dangerous as ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they do have to bring in a manager sometime soon. I don't know who it's going to be. Otherwise, I think they're still in danger of getting relegated. Just because it kind of is. That's from our own, new ownership, no manager right now. Team's not, cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely do not want to be in the championship while you're trying to rebuild this club to be a massive club. That is not a good situation. And it's unfortunate because who was the manager? Steve Bruce.
It was, yeah.
I guess he got so much flack from the ownership and the fans, and it's well, now you're in this position. He could have been someone that could have solidified them through this period, at least in the interim, until they're hey, no, Mourinho's our new manager, or bring in Hazard or whoever it is.
Mm.
But no, they just canned them. Now they're in the interim, and who knows what's going to happen. It's not really the way you want to transition a club, I would say, in this situation.
No, and I mean, the ownership buying the club was a huge splash. I don't know, I wasn't keeping tabs on Newcastle and their status. I don't know if this was talked about for a while, but it just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To us.
Yeah.
So it's big money comes in, a week or two later, Steve Bruce is gone. It's did they even have any contingency plan of what to do? If the team doesn't perform well? I don't know. They have the game next week against Brighton. That'll be match day 11. And then after that, it's a 2-week break. So maybe in those 2 weeks, they can do their due diligence and try and find a manager that can start scouting some players somewhere. Maybe then try and bring some talent in January. But from the Chelsea standpoint, this is the kind of game that it's good to have.
Yeah.
No Werner, no Lukaku. Mason Mount didn't play. Pulisic is still coming off injury. I think they might have said he might be back for the Burnley match, which I think might be after that break. Let's see that there. Yeah. So actually, no, it's the next game this week. Actually.
Okay.
He might be back for that game. That was Tuchel's early projection for Pulisic. But yeah, to have this game kind of slot into the season, at just perfect timing, where you do have some injuries, you can play some other guys. You can get, Reece James stepping up with 2 goals. You get Jorginho with a nice PK, an easy goal there. It was just a very easy game from Chelsea.
Yeah.
They didn't have to work too hard. The game kind of came to them because it was just playing against Newcastle.
Yeah.
And you obviously don't want to take any team lightly because that's where you get caught out sometimes. But for them to, step up to the game and just start playing well, basically from the get-go. Again, I don't even know if Mendy had any shots to deal with this game.
Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot to do. I was super...
one shot.
Mendy, you need 20 to beat him.
Yeah.
No, but with Reece James, I was super happy for him because, he always plays really well, and the
couple bangers.
Goals he scored. Came out... Good for him. Just good for him.
Just ripping it. Half volley for 2 goals.
Mm-hmm. That's your outside back, finishing off some chances that you'll see a lot of forwards just squander.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, 3-0. Show up, set up, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, very keeping them
just on cruise control.
Yeah.
Keeping them at the top of the table right now.
Yeah, and that's what you want.
Points.
And we talk about City and Liverpool. Maybe that's why I feel maybe it's
getting closer. Just Chelsea having the edge. They're just very consistent every game. Like, I don't want to say boring, but like they just go do their job. There's not a lot of like crazy like in the City game, just like nonsense going on.
Yeah.
Just get the job done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, take a look at the table again. Oops. Yeah, to be 5 points ahead of City and not have any, matches withstanding is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's only 10 games in. We're 30% done the season.
Yeah.
Like ish, give or take. I mean, I don't know if that's a huge hole to climb out of because City can bounce back like anything.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, they still have to play top clubs. They got Leicester coming up. They got United coming up. So those are going to obviously be, just probably tight games. Probably games that they expect to win. But then you mix in Champions League and you got, the game with Juve coming up next week again or a couple weeks. That's a bounce back game. They came off a loss last time they played, so they want to get that one back. There's no easy wins, man, in the Premier League. Like, we're kind of shitting on Newcastle a little bit, but I mean, that's a rare case where you can like just step up and like literally have that dominant of a performance. Like the possession was 80-20.
Yeah.
In the Newcastle game, I just checked some like detailed stats. Passes were 773 to 198.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just in every facet they were just getting dominated. And also again only 3 goals against from Chelsea for all season, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, doing really well. We'll see if they can hold this and pick up another title.
Whew, it's been a minute.
Yeah,
It's been a minute.
Andrew's gonna like that.
I mean, because this team's basically been like freshly remade.
Yeah.
Like Azpilicueta's like the only guy that's like stayed.
Yeah.
Maybe Marcos Alonso, he was there when Conte was here, but other than that, like Lampard, I'm always gonna love Frankie because he's like a legend and like he's my favorite player. I think for the last 20 years he's been like my guy.
Yeah.
What he did with the youth of this team when he had to, because they had the transfer ban, that's setting up how they're performing now.
Yeah.
Like obviously he had some stuff against him. He had, some matches that didn't go his way, and obviously Abramovich really wanted results now. So him leaving, I did see it as probably a good idea to let him go at the time that they did.
Yeah.
I could see like the writing on the wall, like, okay, this team's not doing very well. Like his first season with them, they overachieved like big time. I think they made Champions League his first season.
Right.
That was like astonishing that he did that. I thought they were going to finish like maybe 8th place, 7th place. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I knew that this was a transition season. But for what he did with them was like super impressive, and it's kind of paying dividends now because he gave Mount a chance. He gave Reece James a chance.
Yeah.
Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham's off to Roma now. He just kind of didn't really fit into the plan, but Tammy Abraham like had a good season with Lampard. And so now these players that were getting, first team minutes 2 seasons ago because basically Chelsea had to, you're seeing these players blossom into like, the world-class players that they are now. Like Reece James is playing for England. Mason Mount, like starting for England in the Euros.
Yeah.
2-3 seasons ago, he was like at Derby County, like as a loanee from Chelsea. Like it's just, it's crazy how, like how the Premier League kind of operates, and like how you can just get those chances to perform and like show what you can do. And like I said, 2 seasons from now, who knows what these guys are going to be?
Yeah. It's always exciting to see like how well the players are going to develop into. I always kind of think of the Cancelo situation where he came from Juve. Obviously, he already kind of made a name for himself. But just came in, and that's why I like seeing players go to City just to see how much better they get, because Pep just has that player development aspect to him.
Well, it's like anything. Like, even like when you played for the university for a little bit, like years ago, obviously, you like.
Well, I mean,
skyrocketed, bro.
Well, it's I guess when you're as bad as me, if you go from playing twice a week to playing 2 hours every day,
right?
You know what I mean? It obviously helps just to stay on top and stay sharp, because we always talk about how you're, especially when you play at our level, by the time you start playing, you need like a month and a half to get back to the groove of things.
Oh, for sure.
And then by that time, the season's almost done. So you have maybe like
a month in your prime.
a month.
Yeah,
a month.
your peak hits and there's 2 games left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So when you can hit that kind of right, and you kind of keep that through an entire year, I think that's what really helps. So who knows what Pep's got in his repertoire of just keeping players sharp and improving players.
Mhm.
So,
But yeah, it's like if you just get the opportunity to play with better players, though, like even on a practice level,
Yeah.
like just in the training ground,
yeah, it's huge.
like you make a move to beat a player, and then it's like, okay, you have a chance for like a 3-on-2 or something in training, and you give it to a guy on your team that you know is gonna like do the right thing. Like that confidence is like it must be amazing. Like
Oh yeah.
like imagine being on a side where like you're like the best player, like by far, and like you just give it to some guy and like he falls over the ball or something, and like
Yeah.
the play gets screwed up. If you're training with Man City, you give the ball to like Sterling and give the ball to Grealish, and it's like he's not gonna screw up.
Yeah.
Like you know that he's gonna like either get a crossing on net, he's gonna get a shot on net, and that confidence that they emulate gets translated back to you, and you start performing better.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yep. That's huge.
Talk about a team performing better. Arsenal, man. Where did this come from?
I wish we get a snapshot of the table from the start of the season when they were sitting
Seriously,
20th.
I wish you could like insert right now. It's too much editing for me. But I wish you could insert a clip from like match day 2 of our podcast, and we were just saying how Arsenal's gonna be relegated.
Yeah.
And now they're sitting 5th place.
So, yeah, 17 points, tied with Man U. They're just 6th on goal differential. But yeah, 6th place right now, moving up in the table.
It's absurd.
They are been having a string of matches here.
So
You know.
who, just to
No.
pivot off this then, who is going to get 4th? Because now it's getting interesting.
Better for 4.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man.
You know?
It's momentum saying
Arsenal.
Arsenal's going to win the league on this.
Could you
momentum
imagine
here.
if Arsenal qualifies for Champions League? That would be the wildest turn of events ever.
You know, if
I don't know.
Man U stick to how they had their lineup against Tottenham, I think they'll finish 4th. If Solskjær keeps like changing stuff up and doesn't play the consistent players and then just put in Rashford and Sancho and give them minutes, then it's like you're going to keep going up and down. I mean, there's no way you're going to qualify for 4th. So if they stay with that lineup, go throughout the season, I would give it to Man U. If they start changing stuff and Solskjær starts doing things or gets direction from ownership to do that, I don't know. Like, I can't confidently say West Ham because I don't know how long this run's going to last. But
Honestly, I think it's between. I don't know. I don't want to say. I can't believe I'm going to say it. Arsenal and maybe West Ham. I don't think it's going to be Man U just because they're too inconsistent, and that inconsistency is going to get Solskjaer fired before the end of the season, and that's definitely not going to get them in the Champions League.
Right. Like it's crazy to say that Arsenal and United have the same record right now.
Yeah.
5-2 and 3. But like those 2 and 3s happened like in the first 5 games of the season.
first 5
like,
games of the season.
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal in their last 5 games they have 2 wins, 2 draws, and then another win. So actually there's 3 losses I think were like right away.
Yeah.
I think they were like 1 and 3 to start the season or something. So
Yeah.
them to make this push has been pretty impressive. I mean, this is their biggest. Actually, no, sorry, the game against Tottenham, that London derby was massive.
Yeah.
Like when they came out and just spank Spurs.
That was huge.
That
big shift in momentum.
yeah, that could easily be like their turning point of the season. Like they're coming off some wins against Burnley and Norwich. Like everybody's kind of beating up on them. But it was the City game right before that where they got demolished 5-0. That maybe in that time period they came back and said, okay, we got to smarten up.
Mm-hmm.
And actually that game here was August 28th, and they had a 2-week break, I think, for international break.
Right.
So whatever they did international break, they got to keep doing it because since they've been back, they beat Norwich, beat Burnley. They won a cup match against Wimbledon, beat Tottenham, tied Brighton, tied Palace, beat Villa, beat Leeds in another cup match, and then beat Leicester this past week. So they've been riding high for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's what it is. Like sometimes like we kind of, I don't like international break that often because I feel like it happens too often, and it could hurt some teams in like the flow of their season. But it also all depends on like how well in the season you're doing or how poor in the season you're doing, or that international break can come in handily.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're rolling and you're like flattening teams, you don't want to stop.
Oh yeah.
But if you're on a slide, if you're getting smashed by City 5-0, you want
an international break. Yeah.
You want to get go on vacation for 3 days. Go to Cyprus or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like go to the beach, get the hell out of here, get out of London. Where like the media obviously is like huge and like always on your back. Get away from it all and then come back refreshed, regenerated. Maybe Arteta took some, maybe he called Pep on the phone and said, "Pep, man, you got to stop kicking my ass. Like, you got to help me out a little bit and, like, give me some pointers." Because ever since that City game, they've been on a tear.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I could see them easily finishing top 4 now.
I mean, we'll see when they go to Liverpool on November 20th. Because for all we know, Liverpool will be like, "Hey, this is what it's like a top 3 club." But if they get a decent result there, like even if they lose, but it's like 1-0 and they're taking it to Liverpool, that would be a win for Arsenal just to know they can go to Anfield. It's like, hey, we'll push you guys. And then the big match we'll see against Man U December 2nd. That'll be big.
Yeah, it's all about timing. It's all about scheduling too, obviously. Like I said, their last couple wins, like Burnley, Norwich. The Tottenham game was huge, but Villa, Leeds, these are sides that you expect them to win against. I mean, the Tottenham one, it goes either way. But at that point, too, Tottenham was like right there, I think.
Yeah.
Like they were like still performing kind of good. But that's a derby match. You just throw all standings out the window. It could be like a 1 versus 20 match, but it's the derby. So anything can happen in that game. But scheduling comes into play. And then, they have a tough run of games coming up. Watford's gettable. But then Joe said a game against Liverpool. Newcastle is probably gettable. And then, United, Everton, West Ham, all within 3 weeks. So those would be some big games for Arsenal to deal with. And just on the flip side of things, Leicester. Like one trajectory is going up, one's going down.
Yeah, Leicester's having a rough string here. And sitting 10th right now. 14 points, -2 goal differential. Got a game against Leeds coming up, which I think you'd expect them to win. So that might give them a little bit of confidence boost and get them back on track. Because I think we said this last week. We're used to seeing Leicester top 4 consistently ever since they won that one year. But this season, I think just combination of competitiveness and just poor performances is leading to where they're sitting on the table right now.
And like their losses too are like they're tight. It's not like they're getting blown out. So it's not like hit the panic button yet against Leicester. Like no, they're not going to finish top 5 this year probably. Like you wouldn't expect it. Even though they're only 3 points out, to be honest. Like it's actually it's so tight.
I mean, looking at it, you look at the top like 12. And it's just it's so tough because out of nowhere, West Ham, Brighton, and Everton are just really doing pretty well this year. It's just so competitive at the top right now. And I think that's what's, we'll see. It's going to be interesting around Christmas to see what the table looks like. I think we know like the top 3 will start pulling away, but I think the Champions League fight is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, in the top 10 right now is a good mix of overachieving and underachieving teams.
Yeah.
That just can't figure out what they're going to do that week.
Exactly it, yeah.
Like, are we an overachieving team this week or are we underachieving team this week? Like, how are we going to play?
Yeah.
Like a team like Tottenham, how are we going to play right now? Everton's been 9th for 17 years. Yeah. I feel like. So, like, they're always just kind of been hanging around. West Ham, too. Like, how long can they keep this run going, right? 3 straight wins. Yeah, I love it. I mean, December is, like, a really fun time because they do condense the games around Christmas time and, like, Boxing Day. Yeah. And then we have like New Year's Day games too, and then boom, transfer market kicks open.
Yeah.
Which
it's like a dumpster fire of games.
Yeah.
It's like transfers.
And like, the game on Boxing Day could dictate the game on New Year's Day, and then those both things, however they go, can dictate how you're going to operate in the transfer market. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a time to look forward to. All right, we're going to do the spooky draft. It is Halloween.
Here we go.
I'm just titling this the spookiest Premier League players to play against. We didn't really go over it earlier with Joe, but apparently Joe was only doing like modern day players or something.
Yeah, I
From-
didn't know we were
Santo
going
was
to
Santo.
Santo's doing modern day players, and I didn't know we were restricted to the EPL. So
Okay,
but now
so
I'm good.
yeah, so discrepancy has to be made now. It's Premier League only, but it's all time, anytime.
Got it.
You can go back 40 years if you wanted to.
All right, I'm gonna stick relatively modern. Well, actually, except for one, but
So we're gonna do. So the format is a goalkeeper, a defender, a midfielder, and a forward. Any position of those four. Well, goalkeeper. You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Any position out of the defense, midfield, forward, just one each. Criteria. It could just be intimidation. It could be physicality of the player. It could be how just dominant, how good they were, and like, oh shit, we have to go against this guy.
Yep.
So that's kind of the criteria. We're gonna do random number generator, see who goes first. It'd be a snake draft.
okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. That's the order. Joe, you be number 1. Santos 2, I'm 3. First overall pick goes to Joe,
Okay, I'm wondering. I think my other two you won't get.
and then
Who do I pick first?
and then Santo, and then me. So,
All right.
Joe, lead it off.
I'm trying to encompass all those things, like good, spooky, like physicality. I'm going Zlatan, center forward.
Nice. That's a solid first
Yep.
overall pick.
Very nice.
I'm not saying he's the best number. Like he's obviously a really good number 9. I know there's like better number 9s that play in the EPL. But obviously one of the spookiest to go against. Karate chop to the neck. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Just dominance too. I just like.
Yeah.
I mean, his dominance wasn't shown that much in England, but like just overall, like
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
outrageous.
Oh yeah.
Zlatan.
So for me, I just went kind of the typical route. I was gonna go with Ronaldo, old Ronaldo,
Mm-hmm.
forward when he got 40 something goals the
Yeah.
last season. That Ronaldo in that specific season, because that is just unheard of in what he did that season.
But he's not spooky.
Well, if I'm a defender and I'm like, hey, my career and livelihood is dependent on how well I perform and how well our team performs, and then you got this guy
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna tear me up and score, and no matter how hard I try, nothing's gonna work.
Like, how
That's
many-
pretty
But no
scary.
matter how hard you try to get Zlatan, you're still going to get a boot to the neck.
True.
This is true.
He'll serve the time
But-
too. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, I got a red card to this. I don't care.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today. It's like, these are these players' livelihoods, their lives, and they're, especially when you're in the Premier League and you're a Premier League player and it's what you dream about, and you just have other players that are coming literally crushing your dreams sometimes.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Is he a forward or midfielder for you?
I'm forward.
Forward,
He's
yeah.
my forward.
Okay, so now that both forwards are gone for you guys, I'm gonna save my forward to last.
Yeah, that makes
I-
sense.
I got my guy.
That makes sense.
So I'm gonna go. I don't think he'll take my midfielders. I'm gonna go defender first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nemanja Vidic.
Oh, that was
Oh
my
my
that was my
gosh,
backup.
man.
That was my backup. It's not my
Woo!
primary. That was my backup though.
I
Nemanja
was going for
Vidic.
that.
Oh.
Nice.
I mean,
He was my top pick.
he had 211 appearances for United in the Premier League, and he just encompassed what it meant to be a defender.
Yeah.
A spooky defender.
Terrifying,
Blood coming from his face.
Mhm.
like just a warrior, right? That was an easy pick for me. That was the first player I thought of when I thought of doing
Yeah.
this draft. I'm like, Vidic has to be number 1.
Yep.
Good
call.
Yeah, and even like after he left and went to like Inter, he was still sick. Like still a
Yeah.
really good player.
Right.
I had a good backup now. But
That's all right.
Okay, back to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
oh, you again?
I'm gonna go with my midfielder. I wrote down this guy like right away as well, like after Vidic, and then after I thought of another player, I'm like, oh, which one should I pick? Because there's two.
Yeah.
There's like a recency kind of one, and there's like an old school one.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go Yaya Toure.
Ooh,
Okay,
how's it
pick
pick my guy? That's good. That's really good. That's a good one. All right.
Yaya Toure for City. Like when he was on his game, like he was arguably maybe like one of the best midfielders in the world.
Yeah, he was something else, man. His size.
Like he was pin him against anybody, and like
yeah.
what he did for that team, like when they were first trying to get their first couple titles, was obviously massive. And he was a scary player.
Yes.
Like he'll, size wise, physicality, contributing. He scored almost 60 goals. For City, like as a defending role, a defending midfielder. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Yaya Toure. That's my midfield pick.
My midfield pick, Paul Scholes.
that was my backup.
Okay, just how good he was. I mean, even saying that's a massive understatement. Like one of the best midfielders in the history of the game, and also just able to stick tackles.
Yeah,
and
not the biggest of guys too. Eh?
No,
but like physical, aggressive,
very physical. So to play against someone that's that good and also that physical, nightmare to play against.
I'm still going the spooky route. Roy Keane.
That's a solid pick too. That's such a solid pick.
Nice. Okay.
Just enough said.
Yeah. Roy Keane.
Yeah.
All right. So Joe, you got defender and goalkeeper left.
I don't think you're gonna get my goalie, so I'll go with my defender. Not too spooky, but just like very solid. I think everyone needs a leader on the team, so I'm gonna go Vincent Kompany.
Nice. Nice pick.
Okay, Vincent Kompany is leading the charge on Joe's team.
That was my backup.
Yeah.
That was my backup.
Okay. Me, defender, I'm going to go with Van Dijk.
Yes.
He is probably one of the most intimidating center backs, and just the stone cold confidence in everything he does. And just physicality wise, everything. Doesn't take a lot of like really dirty tackles, but I think that's just because he never needs to. So that's my pick.
Okay, and my last one here will be. Oh no, sorry, I have two left. I have my goalkeeper, my forward. Okay, yeah, there's no sense in hiding it. My forward, I'm just gonna go Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like not spooky, scary, but you go against him as a defender, kind of like what Santo was saying with like a Ronaldo. Like this guy just knew how to score and how to just punish teams. 174 Premier League goals, 6th all time, and like right when I was like starting to really tune into like the English game, like those early 2000s, like late 90s. This is like the first guy I saw where I'm like, oh my god, like this is what professional soccer looks like. Like this guy. Like I could be this guy one day, like have dreams or whatever. Like I can play like him. He didn't turn me into an Arsenal fan, but he clearly he was a very impactful player for me. And I was like, this guy is just the best striker I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for that, I mean, I can't not put him there as my number one spooky, scariest player.
Good pick.
And then just to round out, I guess my last pick, goalkeeper, Fraser Forster. Scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
6'6".
Yeah.
He's just an animal. Like even when I saw him on Celtic like years ago, I'm like, this guy is terrifying.
Yeah. Okay.
So other than just him scaring the hell out of me, Fraser Forster is my goalkeeper.
Yep. For me, I am gonna go Ederson.
Yeah, that's my bad.
He's got all the tats. I guess you could call him spooky in that terms, but also just the fact he's really good. And he doesn't really show a lot of fear, and the fact that he's the type of player where even if he makes a mistake, shrugs it off like nothing. So Ederson is going to be my last and final pick for my team.
All right, Joe, round it out.
I'm going Peter Schmeichel.
Solid.
Okay. Good
just
pick.
Just the experience and just not even. It's just the presence of intimidation. Just the way he is. Just this Danish beast in the net.
Yeah. And success too, right?
Yeah.
Huge success. So I'll round the teams out real quick. Joe has Zlatan, Roy Keane, Kompany, and Peter Schmeichel. That's a scary team.
Scary team.
Those top two guys right there, like I would walk off the pitch. Santo has Cristiano Ronaldo, Paul Scholes, Van Dijk, and Ederson. And I got Vidic, Yaya Toure, Thierry Henry, and Fraser Forster. Honorable mentions, I had Patrick Vieira
Okay.
as another player, kind of similar
Very
to like
nice.
Yaya Toure in a sense, but like just way more physical.
Yeah.
Different era of the game too. Like in those early 2000s, it was still kind of like the dying breed of like the bloodbath,
Mm-hmm.
like defending, where you can just like kill anybody and not get a red
Yeah.
card for it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have any more honorable mentions you could think of?
One that came to mind for me for midfielder was David Silva. Tiny guy, but just would do everything for your team all the time. Score goals, defends, be all over the field. Just did a lot for Man City. I think Rooney and Fernandinho. Pretty
Solid.
spooky guys.
Yeah, like when they're on their game, like anybody, like you can't be stopped sometimes.
Yeah.
I looked this up earlier, just like, see like what other people think. I found this website called planetfootball.com, and they listed the 12 of the hardest bastards to play in the Premier League. And I think the number 1 is Roy Keane. And then number 2 is Vinnie Jones. You guys remember Vinnie Jones?
I don't.
Vinnie Jones. No.
He's an actor now.
Of course he is.
You know exactly who he is. Like, Santa, bring up your computer.
Vinnie Jones here.
He's in Eurotrip.
Gonna,
He played the Juggernaut in X-Men. He's the guy that says, I'm the Juggernaut.
Oh, that guy? Oh.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
he played soccer.
Yeah, he played for Chelsea. Like, he was actually good. Like,
He does look intimidating.
He hung around.
Okay.
Damn.
But he was like, again, like in that era of just ruthless defending, and like he'll kill you. Like look at this guy.
Yeah.
Well, he looks a lot more intimidating when he's in a movie where he's
Got shaved sides of his head and a mohawk.
yeah and a leather jacket on.
Or it's the Juggernaut.
Okay.
So Vinnie Jones was one. Jaap Stam.
Stam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one.
Okay.
He was at United, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
with Alex Ferguson. Some other guys here I'm not really, totally sure of, like Mike Harford. I'm not sure who that is. Obviously, he probably has some crazy stories. This guy's name's Julian Dix, which is just kind of a funny name. Apparently, him. This is from someone quoting this, saying that Julian Dix was an animal. I remember him having to go at Vinnie Jones once, and Vinnie was shitting himself. His arsehole fell out. Dix epitomized West Ham. When he kissed that badge, he meant it. So this guy clearly was just a badass too.
I love those guys where it was like they literally played for their club.
Yeah.
Like they bled for the team
Yeah.
they played for.
The club was bigger than them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a dying breed now, eh? Like, that doesn't happen so often.
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah,
about
it's
this a lot.
tough, right?
Yeah,
Like
the one club teams are kind of gone.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the lifers, I mean, like, even like, getting scouted for, like, a youth academy or something, and, like, being part of the team since you were, like, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's in your blood now.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, if you're, from a small club, too, especially.
Yeah.
Like you would never see
Mm-hmm.
Paul Scholes make a massive move to Chelsea
You're like,
Right.
What?
for no amount of money ever.
No, he
No.
lives, dies, and breathes.
Yeah.
Manchester United. So like I said, like since it's like youth academy, obviously until his retirement, like one club team.
Yeah.
And like that's all you're there for. And yeah, you'll give anything for your club. So those were our scariest players to play
There
against. Oh, another guy I thought was Diego Costa.
Oh yeah.
Oh
forward?
yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah.
He's just an animal too.
I was shocked when I learned he was like 5 years younger than me.
Dude, I know. I've seen so many times. Like you go through Instagram and like they have the pictures, like to put like the baby filter on people,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like the baby, filter, whatever it's called, from like Snapchat or something, and it like turns like Mbappe, take a little baby, Ronaldo, a little
Yeah.
baby, and you're scrolling through, and the last picture is Diego Costa, and it's just himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like players when they were like 4 or
Yeah.
something, and it's like swipe. He's got a full beard.
Yep.
Like he's 4 years old.
Yeah. So he is. So he is.
Yeah, he was fun to watch at Chelsea, man. He was
Yeah.
like another way we could have listed this was like guys you would love to have on your team but hate to play against or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a guy like him, he's like kind of a psychopath, but like you want him on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely want him on your team.
I agree.
Like he might be a liability, a bit of a wild card, but like the things that he did for Chelsea when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't take that back. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, I agree. This is good.
Just looking at next week real quick, the matches. What are the big ones here? I can find my bearings. Got so many tabs open right now. Oh, United City, the derby. That's the biggest one to look into. 8:30 start on Saturday, which is kind of a weird time.
Oh yeah.
8:30. Do the clocks go back?
When do the clocks go back?
Oh,
It's
I
gotta be
think they
next week.
might.
It's gotta be next week.
I think they might actually.
Is it today?
Or maybe it's today.
No.
Well, the game tomorrow's at 4 p.m. instead of 3.
I think it might be.
Everyone check your clocks.
Yeah.
I don't even get what that means.
November 7th.
I think this is the last year they're doing it.
It's next
Yeah.
week. What does that mean? You just change time?
Yeah, I think so, man.
No, I mean, like this is last year that they're doing it. Who decides that?
I think it's actually
Like the world?
no. There's like
It's like a world time convention.
no
Well, no, we have to. We're gonna stop doing it as long as New York and Quebec also do it.
We as in Canada, or we as in
Ontario.
like Ontario. But like BC won't do that, so they'll still be.
I'm sure the rest of Canada will follow.
I know it has to do something with like the farming, I guess.
Well, that was originally what it was for.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, farmers have technology where they can light up their thing, and they're not only tied to working on sun up and sundown, because there's technology where they can work like into the night. So changing the clocks doesn't.
Is that what
really
it
do
was
anything.
really about? They just couldn't see.
As far as I know, it was because they obviously when you're a farmer, you need daylight to do your work.
Yeah.
So they I think wanted to give them more daylight.
so we get an hour, right? Fall back.
I still don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spring forward, fall back.
Yeah. So when
So
it
the
hits,
clocks go
like
back an
8,
hour.
it's actually 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So everyone check your clocks.
Next week.
Hopefully this is the last time we got to do this
November 7th.
because
Pretty
I
annoying.
don't like it when it gets dark at 4:30.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
And then the summer it gets dark at
Like 9:45.
9. It's beautiful.
yes, it's all amazing.
Like what? That's probably the biggest like difference in like anything.
yeah,
Like how cool that is. Like at summer to be like, yes, summertime light until it's 9.
yeah.
Wintertime 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like I'm gonna sleep now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wild
Makes no sense.
for farming. That's all it was.
Yeah, as far as I know, that was it. I mean,
that had to be like years ago, where like
Yeah.
farming is
Oh,
like, the
yeah.
main source of like production, I guess, in like
Mhm.
the country or something.
Yeah. As far as I know, that was it.
Farmers, man,
So
changing
But yeah.
time on us.
8:30 on Saturday, Manchester Derby. Tune in.
Yeah, that's the big one. Other games of notice: Everton, Tottenham.
Yep.
Sunday, West Ham, Liverpool. That'll be a nice
Dodgy.
little clash.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea, Burnley is also Saturday. So,
A lot of good
Oh,
games.
I would say do predictions, but like I think we'll all probably pick
Yeah.
the same result.
City, Brentford, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Newcastle. Draw. Just because there's going to be a draw. There can't not be a draw.
Right.
Someone's
Yeah.
got to draw.
Yeah.
I used to love. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to like love betting on some games. And as soon as I see a draw, like a game like I don't know, Palace and Wolves, I'm like, okay, that's a draw.
Yeah, that might be a draw too.
Everton Spurs, that's got a draw on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Leeds Leicester could be like an upset versus like for Leeds. Like I just love to like just look at games just from the outset, not even doing any research on it. Just look at the teams and be like, don't even check the standings.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at the game. Leeds could win that game.
West Ham's going to
There's
West
nothing
Ham's
saying
going to
that Leeds can
upset
win that
Liverpool. West Ham's going to upset Liverpool.
You're saying
I
that?
Yes. First loss of the season for Liverpool.
It's at
No,
home
West
too.
Ham.
It's at London Stadium.
Yeah. They're not very tough to go unbeaten. They got to lose one game.
And you're picking this one against West Ham?
Yes.
All right. Joe's putting his foot
We'll
down.
see.
Joe's making a bold prediction.
All right. We'll see.
Very good, boys.
Good.
All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. This was episode 10. As always, you can catch us on Twitter at Footy_fans, PHANS. Also, this audio is posted up on YouTube. Catch Catch us up on there. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk next week after all of the week's action.
See everyone.
See ya.
Ciao.